I'm getting prepared to do the silicone mold for the mask. What I've done was I took some duct tape. I took the fabric out of the eyes and I took duct tape and stuck the duct tape on the back side. And then I've taken some clay just to fill in the void, because there's quite a big void. That will just help clean it up, and then when I'm done molding the mask and such, then I'll be able to just trim nicely to where the line is. So I'll still be able to see where the line is there. Now the duct tape is sticky, so what I'm doing is I'm using some petroleum jelly, and I'm just painting on the jelly right onto the duct tape. I just don't want to have any problems pulling the silicone mold off once it's all set up. So it's pretty easy to do. I'm just using this foam brush and just paint it on. I've already done the other eye, and on the bottom where the head goes, or where your head goes up inside, I've put the same thing I did, the duct tape all along the bottom to make this. It's about 1.5 inch to 2 inch lip along the bottom, and this will allow the silicone to go past where the helmet actually ends, or the mask ends. And this way, once I start doing the mold, I'll let the silicone go past, and I'll do the mother mold further past, and then this is so that when I do the slush cast, I'm able to get the slush cast right up past where the actual bottom of the mask is, and then that will make it so it won't spill out and make a mess, and I'm able to get nice and thick right up to the edge of the mask, and then I'll just trim it after. So I think that's pretty good. Now for the rest of the mask, it's pretty slick, so I don't think there's going to be a problem with the silicone peeling off. But what I'm going to use is this stuff here, mold soap. Basically it's just kind of just soap, really, in the end. I don't think it's really that special, but I've used it for releasing like clay molds. And it works really well. It goes on nice and thin. So I'm just going to use a nice big brush, and I'm just going to kind of paint on this stuff. Now this stuff here, it can go on very thin. Doesn't need to be super thick. In fact, you don't really want it thick, because you want it to just kind of blend in. And then once this is on there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a towel that's kind of damp, and I'm just going to kind of smooth it all out, because using the brush, you do get kind of lines everywhere. You could also use petroleum jelly to do this for like having a release. I think you could also, like I said, I could probably do this without a release, but I don't really want to risk having any damage to the mold or having the silicone kind of stick, especially where the eyes are and where the teeth are, where all the detail is. That would be the spot that would probably stick the most. So I'm just going to make sure that I go over the teeth and the mouth and the eyes really well, and that way when I pull the silicone mold off, then it should just pop right off. Shouldn't have a problem. And you could also maybe even use like baby powder. Baby powder would probably also work, but I just had this stuff lying around, so I thought, oh, perfect, I'll just use this. So once this is on there, then I'll be able to start actually doing the silicone mold. One other thing that you want to do before you start doing the silicone, because once you start doing the silicone, you can't really stop. You have to let it set for about an hour, and then after the hour, you have to do the next coat, and then the next coat, and then the next coat every hour. So if you're going to be doing four coats, you need to make sure you've got the time to do it. There we go. Got some air bubbles in there. But like I said, I'll just use the towel and go over it. So, I think that's pretty well uncovered. Just gotta make sure you get all of the excess out, because you don't want any drops of this stuff. So the one other thing you want to do before you start doing it is you need to have some keys made. So keys are like so. These are made out of the same silicone I'm going to be using. What I did was I used like these little measuring cups, and I poured it in there, and then I just used a screw, which I think I left one in to show you. So like that, and I put a screw in there, and then pull it out. So you need these to put, you know, at certain spots, so when you do the mother mold sits properly. So once you've got, you need a handful of these made. I think I've got about 10 made here. So that's the only other thing you really need to make sure that you have ready to go. So I'm just going to use this paper towel. I'm just going to kind of wipe this all down because it's on there pretty thick. You really don't need it too thick. And then once it's all good to go, it's kind of buffed. This is just very soapy mold release, so this will just help it so that once the silicone is set and I want to pull it off, this will just come right off. Okay, so once this is all wiped down, then I'll be ready to go. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I have everything pretty much prepped and ready to go. So first coat of the silicone, I'm going to be using a measuring cup, and then Smooth On Rebound 40, 2 parts, and it's mixed 1 to 1. So 1 part of A to 1 part of B. The first part goes on quite thin, so I find that the silicone actually goes a lot further with the first coat, just because it's just so thin, it just kind of flows everywhere. And the pot life on this stuff is about 10 minutes. So if I mix one of these and I do it and I find, oh, you know what, I don't think I have enough, I have a bit of time to quickly mix a bit more. So what I'd have to do is use this, and I'll actually get another cup out and ready, just in case I do need a second amount, and a stir stick. Just in case, because I don't want to be panicking and whatnot. That's 8 ounces. Okay, so now you start mixing it. This is when it gets kind of gooey. The thickness of this stuff is, it's kind of like a icing sugar. Kind of really thin though. Maybe like you didn't mix it right. It's not too thick, but it's not like super watery either. You just need to make sure that you do a good job and really mix it well. Just like any 2-part epoxy or anything like that. These cups are probably almost too small for this. My fingers are going to get a little in there, but that's okay. You want to make sure you get all this at the bottom. You can see the different colors. It's kind of the white and the green mixing together, and you'll know it's well mixed once the colors are all just one uniform. I'm just making sure I scrape the sides of the cup. Really smoosh it around. And then, once this is well mixed, you can literally just pour it on the top, start moving it around, and you want to use a fairly stiff bristled brush. The reason being is, if it's a soft brush, it's not going to really force the silicone into all those crevices and stuff. This is a fairly smooth object that we're making a mold of, but if something has quite a bit of detail, then you want to make sure you use a stiff bristle brush and really push the silicone into all the crevices and such. Okay, Well, I'd say that is pretty well mixed. And I'm just gonna throw this in the garbage. Okay, so now you can literally just start kind of pouring this on. And it will just start flowing. I'm going to put more around the eyes. And if the silicone kind of drips off, you can always kind of like scoop it up and put it back on. Just get all this out. My brush here. And just start smoothing it out. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. Now we just gotta let that set for 1 hour. It's 3:55, so say at about 4:45, start getting ready for the next coat. What I did was, with the bunch of drippage that came off, I just thought I'd put a couple more, or try to make another couple keys here. Because by the time I need to put those on, that should be set up enough that I can pop them off and stick them on. So after this is sat for about an hour, so yeah, we're 40 minutes from now, then we'll be able to do the second coat. And the second coat, I'll actually end up using some thickener, and the thickener makes it so that you can actually put it on kind of like icing a cake, really thick. You can almost use like a putty knife to just kind of smear it on. This coat is the most important coat. It's the detail coat, so that's why it's so thin. You get a lot of drippage here. Luckily my friend Ken was here, so I quickly realized that the first mixed amount was not going to be enough. So he quickly did a second amount, or second cup of it for me, and that was enough. So yeah, so now I know for the next couple coats I'm definitely going to need more than what I originally thought it would. So we'll let this set up, and then we'll do the second coat.